All right, everybody. This is Cleta Colson-Eyre. It is December the 11th, 2023. Y'all, we're fixing to have to start saying 2024. So get used to it, right? 2023. So we have just a couple of more Boss Babe calls. Actually only one more because I know y'all want to get on Christmas. I've had many calls. Please don't cancel the Boss Babe call on Christmas, but I'm going to just this one year. So we will have one next week, and then we will not have one, a Boss Babe call on the 25th, but we will have one on the 1st. But anyway, we are back on Zoom. We tried Meet In, and so right now it's not working for our streaming, so we're back on Zoom until further notice. So in case any of you are were wondering. And so thank you to Maureen and Gina for doing the Boss Babe call last week, and to Latrice for such a fine job in our book. So we are still doing the book, the Mary Kay on People Management book. And we're not going to do it tonight, though. So we're going to pick that back up next week. But it was a really good call last week. I certainly enjoyed hearing Latrice share, and I thought she did an excellent job. I know y'all did too. So tonight, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I experienced this last week. And I've been very fortunate and blessed, highly favored and blessed to have been invited 3 times to the $1 million reunion week. Well, it's not a week or a weekend, but the $1 million reunion. Okay. And it's in Nemacolin Resort in Pennsylvania, Farmington, Pennsylvania. And it is the most beautiful resort, you guys. This is where they filmed The Bachelor one time. And y'all know how swanky that is. So after that, it just went nuts. And there's several different places you can stay there. They have a zoo, they've got an ice skating rink, they had this Hardy Christmas Village, just all kind of things. And each room had a butler that would bring you snacks, draw your bath, whatever you needed. I mean, like, bring you French roast coffee every morning, bring you fruit. I mean, like, I need one of those at my house. You know what I'm saying? So it was very much like a top director trip in the fact that it was so nice. The hotels was so fancy. And there were 2 different ones we stayed at, and some were actually 3. There were townhouses. I was at the one called Falling Rock, and then there was another one called the Grand Lodge, which just got a makeover. And when I say a makeover, and they just opened like 11 days ago, they took 2 rooms and made them one big suite. When you walk in, every single room had a Christmas tree. That on that one, they had the fireplace. They had like a little library, books. I mean, it's like you were at home, except for not there. So just super nice, super swanky. If you ever wanted to feel like, royalty, that's where you felt it. And that was awesome, but that's really not the best part. The best part was being with everybody. The first year there was about 123 of us, and I don't know how many was there 2 years ago. The last time they did 2019, 21, and then this year, and they're doing it again in 2025. But there was 250 people there. I think 270 with the men. Brad went with me this time. They did some clay shooting and some other things. And so anyway, I just typed out my notes. I brought an iPad. I got a new one right before I left, and I thought, I'm going to type them out, because I tell you, I get home and I can't half read what I wrote, and I did not want to miss a thing. And so there's a lot of stuff on here. I know I'm not going to cover it all. So I'm just going to talk for about 25 minutes, and then we'll be done, and maybe we'll do some more next time. So the first thing when we started is, well, of course, we had a big welcome dinner and all of that. But the first thing they started out with was Mary Kay's last speech, her last speech on stage. And it's in a book. Isla Burkhart, which was a national sales director, she wrote a book, and Jan Thetford and Kim McClure, national sales directors, they took turns reading it. I actually posted it on Cheetah Nation. It was an amazing, because I was there. Okay, so in fact, I started thinking about it, they started talking about her last seminar. And honestly, I just got so choked up and full of emotion, because I actually, knew Mary Kay, and I was there when she said her last words, and I remember her last speech, and it just hit me, okay, in a different way this time. So what they played that, then they played this video, and you can find this on YouTube. Sandy Miller, National Sales Director, and it was called Mary Kay, Did You Know? And she read this whole beautiful thing as, and it had a video that went with it. I think you can find on YouTube, Mary Kay, Did You Know by Sandy Miller. They played that, and it showed clips of Mary Kay and all the difference that she made in her life, that she had it. And she did that right after Mary Kay passed away. And it was just a beautiful tribute. She sent the poem out. I know my national sent it to me at that time. And well, she didn't send it to me. She made it available. She was my emeritus, but it was available to us. And I have a copy of it somewhere. I have to find it. But anyway, that was really great. And so then Pam Shaw, National Sales Director Pam Shaw, came up and she talked. And so some of the things that she talked about is how strong is your back to those coming after you to stand on. And she was talking about, if you are a legacy leader, give away what you do have. And what is that? Vision, respect, work ethic, credibility, or are you giving away the opposite? No work ethic, no respect, lack of vision, and not very credible and low integrity. What are you leaving behind you? Like the people that are coming after you, what are they going to remember you by? What are you leaving them? And that stands for all of us, even beauty consultants, even with your customers and your sister consultants, what are you leaving behind? What will they remember about you? Okay. And it says the challenge today is whether leaders are thinking generationally. And they talk a lot about passing the baton. And it's really weird because a lot of us are in Director Bible Study. And she used, y'all, Maureen, Gina, and Gail, she's that same Christine Kane story about the Olympics, about the Americans and passing the baton, and how many years in a row that they, in the exchange zone, they dropped it, they fumbled it, and all this stuff. And she used that whole thing for us about when you're passing the baton. And so all of us that were in our Director Bible Study, they're like turning around, looking at me, April, and all them. And I'm like, we know that story. We just talked about it. And so her point was for us and Mary Kay was, don't be sloppy and careless in your passing. Don't drop the ball. That God is looking for those who have the spiritual weight to carry it. Get rid of every weight. Do not grow weary in your calling, whatever that calling may be. It said, watch your conversations in virtual or in person. You want to watch your conversations. They're saying that we cannot afford to stay distracted or be in confusion. And she said mental health crisis is connected to social media trends in 2020, put our virtual world on steroids, but loneliness is at an all-time high. Y'all may have heard that. Even though they see more people, everybody, like for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, like you see other people's lives, but in general, loneliness is higher than it's ever been because they're not connecting with people, and people are starting to crave connections. People are saying yes to parties. They're saying, yes, I will go. Would you like to go here? Yes, I would, because they're craving that, because you can only get so much behind a screen. And we talked about how we're very grateful for it. We wouldn't be doing this right now. There wouldn't be 300 people getting to watch it if we didn't have social media, right? And YouTube and things like that. So we're very grateful, but don't be confused that it replaces seeing people eyeball to eyeball, for sure. And it says, understanding is about your head. Relationship is about your heart. Many people are playing a character on the screen. So don't be fooled by that. What the biggest compliment you can get, I think, is when somebody says, well, the way she is on screen, that's really the way she is in person too. Not two different people, because there are a lot of people that play a character on screen. And I don't know why balloons are flying up, y'all, but there's a lot of people that play a character. I'm having a party by myself over here on a screen, but that's really not the way they are in person, right? So don't compare yourself to other people. She said, what you don't transform, you will transmit. Number one, generally knowing who we are, knowing others, and being in community with others on earth, and God and how you'll know the fruit. The fruit is a gauge. What I'm working on? Is there fruit in it? And that was one of the things that I thought about in everything we do, you guys, in our Mary Kay business. What are we doing if we've given it enough time, is it producing fruit? For example, like maybe your lives, your skincare parties. If you had like 40 parties and your sales are still like $25 a party or something, you got to look at that. Like you have to say, okay, what could I do to improve that? Obviously, I'm seeing the people, but is it my skills? Is it who I'm seeing? What is it? And see if you can fix it. If there's something you've just been doing forever, but you really aren't getting any results, it could be time to mix it up, right? So you want to look at the fruit of what you do. As a sales director, are the programs you're doing, are they producing the things that you want them to produce? But you do have to give it time, and some things take 3 to 6 months to get going, but evaluate. And she really talked about that. Some of the things, this is still Pam. She said, truth produces freedom, live from your true identity and be others focused. And she said, she makes this prayer. She says this prayer every day. Lord, what do I need to do? What do I need to know today about my true identity that you gave me? What do I need to know today about my true identity that you gave me? Okay. She said, people want choices. That rewards connected to ideas that you take today. Don't pay attention to the wrong person. Be careful who you take advice from. Your brother that does not know anything about the Mary Kay business could tell you to go do this, this, and this. And that may not be the person you want to take advice from. Okay. You might want to look at someone that is getting the results that you hope to get. If I want to be $1 million director, I will take advice from a national who's done million, from a sales director who's done million. Does that make sense? So you want to kind of be careful to who you're listening to as well. She said, you want to interrupt the wrong thoughts with truth. What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing? Kind of look at that. And you might even pray, Lord, let me know, help me discern what I need to stop doing and help me know what I need to start doing. Okay. It's a new year. A lot of people are going to stop doing something, eating sugar, and start doing something else, exercising. Okay. Y'all know that. I don't have to tell you. It's just 20 more days of feasting, gluttony, and no exercise. And then the ball's going to change, right? You can start today with that. But because there could be some things in your Mary Kay business. What do you need to start doing? What do you need to stop doing? And then she said, what would my life look like if I were not afraid of anything? If I wasn't afraid of anything. And, she mentioned in the Bible where the Lord said to the disciples, I will make you more of what you thought you could be. You must obey first. God will show you what he can make you. And you must be, it must be in alignment of your want and also your willingness to do it. So, don't think that God can't work through you with what you have. He made you. We all have different gifts and talents. And you will see, like of the $1 million directors up there, they're not one of them alike. They're not one of them that did it the same way, but they all have a heart for people. And all the ones that I met have a heart for the Lord. And, they have a very high work ethic and they're willing to pay the price. A lot of them, they have failures just like, well, all of them, just like we did. The higher you are, the more times people told you no. That's just the truth. So she said, when you quit on your dream, you quit on people who would have followed you. And she gave examples of like, if I had to become a director, this girl wouldn't have become a director, and it kind of could trickle down like that. So think of who's watching you, and then you do it, they'll do it. Okay. So when you give up on your dream, it could cause some other people under you to give up on their dream. And there was Brittany Jinx got up there and talked about how she almost quit. She's a new national. She almost decided this was not for her. And she called one of her best friends who was also in Mary Kay and said, you know what? I just think this ain't working for me. I think I'm fixing to be done. And then Lindsay was her best friend and also her offspring director. She says, well, if you're out, I'm out. And so Brittany said, I just had to she goes, I couldn't see Lindsay getting out. So I didn't get out. Because if I did, she did, and Lindsay's $1 million director too, and is going on to be a national. So that's something to think about too. Who's watching you that you need to achieve so that the people that are watching you will also do it too. And she says there comes to a point where do-overs do not exist. A good name is chosen to, rather than great riches and silver and gold. So I thought this is like a little sum, y'all. I mean, she gave it to us. It was really, really good. Okay. And if you never listened to Pam, you will love, just look her up. You'll love some of the stuff she does. The next one is one of our favorite nationals. One of mine is Donna Sweeney. And Donna and I go way back 30 years, and she did a great job too. And she posted some stuff on her fan page on Facebook. You can look her up, Donna Sweeney, and she posted this, and it was a class that Greg Rochelle did, and it was about generations as well. And she says that she said God told his people to build a pile of rocks to remind them the next generation of what went on. The altars, the pile of rocks when they crossed over the Red Sea and the different things, to remind people that come after them what they went through, why they're there. And she said, the dreams God gave you are still there. We are one generation from being away from being Christ-less. We are one generation from Mary Kay being the same as it is today. And it usually don't pass the third generation. And I was thinking about that today. Ryan Rogers is third generation. However, his dad and Mary Kay started at the same time. So Richard Rogers, even though he was the son, he really was there at the beginning with Mary Kay, So even though Ryan's third generation, we have to protect it so that it goes to the next generation, his children, right? And not just with their family, but I mean with us. Like if you look at the nationals and the generations in 60 years, I mean, here we go. We're on another generation, right? One of the things they gave us was this cool book called Room at the Top. And it was written in I believe 98, and it has all, you can't see this, all the active nationals and the retired nationals, excuse me, at that time. Anyway, she talked about generation one were owners. They overcome disruptors. They start with nothing and they build something. Think about Mary Kay Ash, okay? They think higher, they see broader. A weakness in the owner is that they can get stuck in the past and they have problem letting go, okay? Then the generation two, they're called protectors. Protectors didn't start the company, but they appreciate the sacrifice of generation one. They preserve. They're more risk adverse. They're afraid to mess things up, and they really try not to fail. Okay. Generation three are inheritors. And they can also be called squanderers. It says sometimes they blow it. They start on third base. They did not create the success. They didn't learn any hardships. They could become inheritors if intentional to create a generation one attitude. They could, get a different attitude about it. And then she talked about us. She said, we need the generation one mindset. Don't get soft on selling the Mary Kay events to your people and Mary Kay overall. And she said, the owners are proactive. They invest money and time eagerly. And as I'm telling you this, she said, which one are you? Okay. She said, owners, they are proactive, invest money and time eagerly. They manage distractions. They are personally responsible. They believe their why is clear. They're more worried about legacy versus celebrity. They're mission focused. Their point is to point people to God. The celebrity people point people to themselves, and they're more pioneers. Okay, that's the owners. Some of you, even though we weren't there when Mary Kay started, you have that attitude. You built your business, especially those of you that have been in a little bit. Okay, and then there's the protectors. And protectors sometimes play not to lose. They're not playing to win. They react, they talk with everybody about what you think I should do. What do you think I should do? Then they hold back, like they get all these opinions and they hold back and do nothing. Sometimes they're double-minded. Instead, she said, throw your heart across the line. And she talked about the $1 million, the $100 bill that Mary Kay, or $1 bill that Mary Kay used to sign. And she would put the scripture of the talents, the parable of talents, and talked about on there, about not squandering your talents. And then she did talk about condemnation and conviction. She said condemnation, which in our Bible study, y'all, we study this too. Condemnation is very different than conviction. Condemnation is backwards. The devil beats us up. Conviction is that you're convicted to do something different. Okay, conviction is good. And then she talked about inheritors. She said inheritors are consuming. They're always complaining, like, when, no double credit. Things like that. Of course, she was talking to directors, right? And so that we just need to look in that and see what we do. And then she said this. She said that Mary Kay history lesson, Mary Kay was looking for 100 more prestigious women and the most prestigious women in Dallas to start Mary Kay. That's who they were looking for, the most prestigious women that they could find in Dallas to get this company off the ground. And she said it's a far cry from what we are doing today, is to get people in for $35 to get their product at half price. That we're not looking for the right women sometimes, we're not looking for the go-getter that, hey, she could get in here and really get it going, And that really hit me. I'm like, I need to do that. I need to look. And back in the day, they used to tell us that if you were starting your own company, which you are, and you knew that everybody you asked would sign up and be with you on your company, who would you ask? Who would be your 12 board members that you would ask? Wouldn't you ask women that had it going on, that were smart, that were leaders, that were go-getters, had a high work ethic, that love people? I mean, you would really be selective in who your board members would be. And she said, we got to go back to that. She said, back in the day, 5-party week was minimum. Mary Kay would tell you to get another job if you weren't holding at least 5 parties. You better get another job. She said, Mary Kay told us the tough stuff. A power start is 60 people, not 30, because a power start was 10 parties, and we were taught to have 6 people at the party. So a perfect start was 5 parties. That's 30 people. A power start was 6 people. Was 10 parties. So she said we've got soft over the years somehow. Dawn, she really tells it like it is. So she said, we are owners. We are responsible to pass on the truth. Recruit people who think like owners. Be a recruiter. They soften it up and call sharing, but we need to recruit them. Look for the diamonds and recruit them at the party. She said, not share it, recruit them. And she said, we're the best recruiters in all Mary Kay. And think of it as a recruiting court, not just sharing. And I thought, that's true. That's true. She said, wake up. Are you looking for sharp people to add on your team? Or are you just sharing, hoping someone will sign when you share? So be intentional. And then she said, owners are recruiting 5+ a month. The B's are legitimate on their shoulders. The restarts, people that have signed back up, that's just extra people. But they're legitimately looking for 24 people who've not been in Mary Kay before, who are going to, they picked out to do something. Protectors, she said, are sometimes enabling. You work with what you have so you don't lose it. So like as a sales director, it's like, instead of looking for new people to add your team, you just are working with the ones you got because you don't want any of them to leave, which you need to do both, right? And they said inheritors, they only recruit when they have to. Like if they have to get somebody to win a prize, or they have to get someone to not lose their unit or something like that, like when they have to do it, they do it. And so then she said, raise your hand if you're this, raise your hand if you're that. So she challenged our whole room, to gold medal. She said, if we all gold medal 7 months in a row, Mary Kay would gain 11,000 new owners. She said, do you think that would change our company? And because there are 250 of us in there. Isn't that something to think about? Take 250 and each of us got 5 for 7 months in a row. They would be like, what is going on? Mary Kay, the corporate would be like, just not even knowing, right? Anyway, so those two were the first, that was the kickoff. Let me look at my time here. Okay, there was a lot of other things on here about how to do million that was really, really good. And, just different ways to do it, actually. There's not just one way to do million. And so there were some tips from some of the National Sales Directors Emeritus that were there, Mona Butters and Nancy Moser, who I listened to tapes growing up. And it was so neat to see her in person. I don't know how long she's been retired, but She was really good. And she said, build one of her tips were build a unit within a unit. So for directors that are listening, get a Cadillac from just your personal people. She said, develop offsprings and get your 20. And whether you can become an astronaut or not, get your 20. Why can't you still have 20 directors? And I'm like, true that. Okay. Cindy Williams, as y'all know, she's Ruby for a lot of us. We just love Cindy. And she talked about that God has a plan. And are you a victim or a victor? And she's taught this. Are you bitter or better? Frustrated or fascinating? Spirit of gratitude. And she's a self-proclaimed joyologist. She says, stand up in your victory. Characters revealed in adversity, not created. And she said, Tag, you're the only Bible some people will ever know and read. And you're the only Mary Kay some people will ever know. Cheryl Steinman got up and she said that she learned to ask these questions. I thought this was really good. She built in a lot of different areas in Michigan. Because she lived in a very small town, so she would go 1 or 2 hours away and build pockets, 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 pockets. She said in her mind, she was building beehives. And there's a little queen bee over here and a little queen bee over here. And she said, she would have meetings of like 10 or 15 here, 10 or 15 here, 10 or 15 here. And that's how she built her big, fat, juicy unit and was number one for so many years. And she said she would just go to different areas. And when she would talk to people, she would ask them questions. And she said she surrounded herself with people of like minds. And she'd say, who are you? Where were you born? What do you do? How big is your family? What do they do? What does your brother do? What does your dad do? Where do they live? And she said, most people have a circle of 50 people that they could sign and have as customers. And she talks about them. She talks to them and lets them tell about, yeah, my cousin does this, my brother does this, my mom does this. And she gets them to think about all the people in their life and what they do and where they work and how. And then she would talk to them about, hey, you know a ton of people. I mean, there's 50 people right there that could be buying from you. That's your future right there. And she would recruit them, And so she said, I just did this everywhere. I would ask so many questions and get them talking about themselves. And then I could get to know them better and I could fill them out and give them a reason that they need to get in this. Right. And so that she would go everywhere, different towns and do this. And she would build beehives. And she said also, like for directors, she said that any kind of guest event, she would always go in first and walk down the aisles and try to meet everybody in the room. Like everybody in the room, get their name. What do you do? Where do you live? Da, 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 da. And then she said during the meeting, she would try to use as many of the guest names as she could. And, she said, they already liked me before I even got up there. And she said, and then we would recruit so many people because I had tried to build a connection with them. And so I thought that was some good tips. Joanne Barnes was there and she used Job 28:22. She said, decree a thing by your words and it shall be decided. And y'all probably heard that verse. And she said, who do you need to be? The doing will be given when you decide who you need to be. Instead of saying, what do I need to do? You need to say, who do I need to be? And I thought that was really good. She said that her first million, her unit had 200,000 in by December. Okay, on target for $1 million is $500,000, right? It's 500,000. She said, but then from January to June, she did 600,000. So no matter where you are, as far as your goal by seminar, you can still do it. Okay. One after the other got up there and told how they did that. And so I thought that was pretty awesome. And she said, sometimes you don't need to know how to do it. You just need the desire, just the desire that you want to do it. And that it's not magic, it is a mindset. And you lead from the inside out, not the outside in. Debbie Moore got up there and talked, National Sales Director Emeritus. And she said, moving forward, we have to sharpen other people. She said, connecting with women in person is so important that the world is opened up again, and it's good out there. Gatherings are happening everywhere. People are connecting. They are having fun at in-person gatherings. And not that y'all can't still do Zoom parties and Facebook parties, because we're going to do that too. But don't be afraid to actually go and do a facial on a girl. I mean, it's the truth. But she just really talked about that connection, that women are really ready to get together. Okay. And she said, you have to start small. And sometimes, just with a couple of people, but she said, that's okay. You can start small, and then next week you might double it, and the next week you might double it, like if you were having unit meetings in person and things like that. So that stood out to me as well. Jeannie Martin taught, National Sales Director Emeritus, love Jeannie Martin. And she talked about making an impression and prepare what you're going to say, like especially if you are on doing a presentation for your customers and or for your unit members, you can speak from the heart, but if you prepare instead of just winging it, you're going to do better. And be intentional about what you're going to say and what you're presenting. And then she talked about some of the perks of doing the $1 Million Director. And so let's see. Trust stands for total reliance upon spiritual timing. Trust God within you. And she said, I have a superpower. You forgot it. Try it before you deny it. And so, and just be faithful in the routine. So let's see, let's go down here. LaRonda Daigle, she talked, and she really talked about your vision, like that she would show videos of like the top director trips all the time. Look at videos and show videos of seminar. And so like for the consultants on the room, if your desire is to be on the stage at seminar, go back and look at some of the seminar videos. Look at them all the time. Like they're on InTouch under videos, and check those out. For directors, look at the top trick, like get it in your mind so that you can see yourself doing it and you can kind of visualize that. She said the scoreboard needs to be internal, not external. To beat your best, don't, I'm not trying to beat Gina Maureen and Gail, and I hope they're not trying to beat me. I'm trying to beat me. What have I done and how can I improve it? Where am I at now and what do I need to do to move forward? And so Kristen Myers was a national sales director that talked, and she had 6 like really simple tips on moving forward. Okay. So I'm gonna tell you this, and I know I'm talking fast. You can go back and listen to it. Okay. That's what's so great. It's being recorded. So number 1 is stop saying I'm stuck. I'm just stuck. Stop saying I used to be a blah, 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 blah. Okay. I used to be whatever you have done in the past. Okay. She said your lifestyle is acclimated to your lifestyle. Like, okay, she said, don't say just do this and just do that. Shame is a powerful tool to keep you stuck. And so just stop saying that you're stuck. Okay. You're not stuck. Number 2, if you're not happy for where you are, don't let what you could have or should have affect where you want to be. Okay. So if you're not happy where you are right now, don't let what you could have or what you should have affect where you want to be. And so really think about that. And then number 3 was the scoreboard is just a measuring stick of where your work is landing right now, but it's not accurately defining you because it cannot see the seeds you have planted. To me, this was the best one. Like you may be working hard, you're out there, and Maureen on our unit meeting talked about this. You're getting names, you're working, you're putting your work in, and you're not seeing the results. And you're looking at the scoreboard, and it is what you've got in right now, but you're not seeing all this work and the seeds you have planted come to fruition next month and the next month. And that's why sometimes in June, people have a blowout month because of all the work they have put in through the year, and boom, it's go time, So don't get too upset about the scoreboard of where it is right now if you're working and planting seeds for your future. She said, number 4, don't be self-consumed to what you have not accomplished yet that you can't move forward. So like, let's say you are a consultant and you're trying to get in your red jacket and you're just can't even hardly get over that you're not in it yet. And you're so paralyzed and aggravated with yourself or whatever else. And you can't even think about it because you beat yourself up too much. Or maybe you're sales director and you're like, I want to get that pink Cadillac and I've not got it yet. If I just only have that pink Cadillac, and you have you're self-consumed with what you haven't done that you can't even move forward. So it's something to think about. The number 5, she said, feelings are not truth tellers. They lie to you. Your feelings lie. The pain of delay is horrible, but focus on your preferred future. The pain of delay is horrible, but focus on your preferred future. Play ball like a new consultant. What do new consultants do when they come in? They haven't asked anybody. So they make a list of people they can call. And then they call or text, 25, 50 people to get those first bookings. If they aren't doing this, is what they should be doing. Okay. And then they get out and they don't know exactly what they're doing, but they put Mary Kay on people's faces. And then they share the career information. Go back to what we used to do when you first signed up, when you were so excited, right? I love that. And then number 6, she says, repeat these things. And you can put whatever your goal is here. Number 1, I already have what it takes to blank. Like for me, I said, I already have what it takes to do million. You might say, I already have what it takes to be a sales director. I already have what it takes to be a national sales director, to win a pink Cadillac, to be a grand achiever, to get my red jacket. Okay. I already have what it takes. Number 2, I am unapologetic for massive growth. I'm unapologetic for massive growth. And then number 3, my business has prepared me to move up. Because one of the things about it is new consultants, as you fall and make mistakes and redo and get back up and deal with hostesses, okay? And you're dealing with crazy kids at the parties and you're dealing with people not showing up. All those things that you're dealing with and learning prepares you to when you're a sales director and you're dealing with your consultants and you're dealing with different kind of things that happen in your unit, because you have developed people skills on the way to becoming a sales director. And as a sales director, dealing with your consultants and doing all these things, it prepares you to deal with your offspring sales directors. And then dealing with several offspring directors prepares you to be a national sales director, right? So that's why you can't promote a new consultant to national. They need to go through the stuff. They have to. So you don't worry about the things that you're, as you slip and fall and slide, you get back up and do it again and go, lesson learned, move on, lesson learned, moved on. Okay. I thought that was really good. Okay. I got to move on a little bit. I know we're over time. I'm just going to go ahead and hit these last few because there's only a couple few. Daisha, she was excellent. And there were several different classes. So if you listen to some other people talk about this, you may hear some other things too. But let me see some of the stuff that would apply to everybody here. Well, she had 10 little tips. I'll just kind of say them fast. One is make a decision and speak it forward. Speak it forward, whatever your decision is, what you're going to do, speak it as if you've already done it and play in that mode. Okay. Number 2, size matters. She said, build wide and it will go deep. 1 out of every 50 people will be a leader. 20 a month at least in your unit to really grow. Okay. And some of this is talking to directors, but consultants, you can take a lot from it as well. Number 3 is track stars. Track stars, $600 wholesale. Like she does a little thing, director, she does a little thing that $600 wholesale. Then way back in the day, she said, I would do their first party. She said, now it's more like, 1,800, like a star. And she would go do their first party for them. And then she would really get them in red, by their first party. And then she said, number 4, chase down production and people at the same time. You can't just do one. Chase production and people at the same time. Number 5 is start being a strong personal worker. Like yourself, gold medal. That's 5 new by the 15th. She actually did 44 power starts in a row. 44 months of power starts in a row. And she said, and don't let a lot of time lapse in between your successes, because if you keep those successes, that's why you do a lot of parties. If you have a bad one, then the next one you have a $600 party, you're like, all right, I'm good. I don't even remember that bad one. And it just keeps you on a roll. Number 6 is equip your leaders, let them watch you. Consultants, you can do this too. As you recruit people, let them go with you to your parties. She talked about role playing. And said, don't make a decision for them. You need both sales and recruiting. And so like for your people coming in, you need them both. Number 7, she does a career leadership breakfast. Reds can go, and then if they had 3 that month, they get to eat free. Number 8 is discipline of time. be up early, dress for success. Her goal is to warm chatter 5 leads a day. And she said, women want to gather, have a goal with your prospects. Don't be fake when you're out and about doing that. Be yourself. Okay. Number 9 is have good assistants. And then number 10 is be selective who you spend your time with. And she was really good. Lorinda King, Lorinda's my buddy. She's from Georgia. And she talked about building reds and positioning yourself, get yourself together. And she really talked about reds, that red is a building people, and it's the way to be successful. Everybody knows 3 people that they can sign up. Every single person on here, if you're not in red, it's only because you haven't asked enough people. Because if you can't think of 3 people in your life that want something more and really would like to make some extra money, they're out there. All of us can get 3 people. All right. And Mary Kay said everybody can at least get 1. And, most people can go ahead and get 3, but everybody can get 1 for sure. All right. You must do the personal work. And she said, like for yourself, she's big on setting the example that you need to be on all 3 courts, or 2 courts, court of Sherry and court of sales yourself too, because then you can teach what you know how to do. Shelly Palin, she was did million after being in the company for 43 years. She did million last year. And she's a buddy of mine. And she said, sometimes you're in a season of preparation. That could be the season you're in. And then you're really working it. And then that next year you get the results. So don't worry about, people have to prepare, right? Never give up on your dream. Even when it looks like it's falling apart, it could be falling together. I thought that was pretty good. Angel Fry, y'all know her. She's amazing. She said, be in front of more people at different types of events. And that she talked about, about calling her people. She did something called a great start restart. And this is something that you would promote in your unit to someone who's been in before and just have a new restart of your business. Like, okay, let's just relaunch it. If you ever have a new grand opening for a store, like they've already been in business for a while, and then they kind of redo some stuff and have another grand opening. It's kind of like that. And she says, I get credit every time I do a great start restart, because it's always fun in the field. And when she does it, she asked them, she said, do you want to do a traditional class, a pampering party, or a brush clinic? Which one of those would you like to do? She gives people choices when she does the party. And so the Callie DeBlander talked, and she does a lot of what she calls MK Q&As. And she does a lot of this virtual from where she is in her life right now. She's had to figure it out how, she said, instead of saying, how can I, she says, let me see how she said it. Instead of can I do this? She says, how can I? Come up with a way your brain starts thinking of ways to do it. How can I? And so she does these Mary Kay Q&As, and she says, she asked someone, do you have 5 girlfriends who would love $350 worth of coupons? And then she says, she asked them for 5 minutes and for 5 questions. And she just does this in Messenger. And so let's say I ask Gina to be one of my people. And I'll say, Gina, how would you like to get $350 in coupons, for different things? And say, well, what I want you to do is get 5 of your girlfriends to write down 5 questions that they have, and be as nosy as possible about a Mary Kay business. And then they're going to go in a messenger group with the consultant and her 5 guests. And then you go to the questions, and she has a little Google form and all this, but just to kind of summarize it, she goes to the questions and she voice messages in the Facebook Messenger chat. And then she just does 3-way messengers with these people, with the consultant and the guest and the customer, like your good customer and her friend. Okay. Or the consultant, she does it with her unit members too, like a unit member and a customer. And then she does a 3-way chat, and she answers the questions and goes back and forth with them. And she said, it's really helped me. Sometimes I let the consultant answer the questions, and I tell her she gets credit for learning, and I coach her on what to say and do. And she said, so her one-on-ones her MK Q&As are just kind of like one-on-ones in a messenger chat instead of just calling them on the phone or meeting them in person. And she said, it can happen over a span of time. It might be just a day and they go back and forth on questions. So anyway, she didn't get the full details, but the whole idea I thought was a good idea. Waverly Windsor talk. She's the #1 director last year, a 20, I don't know how old she is right now. I want to say 23, something like that. Is that right? And she said the seminar helped her make a mindset shift. That she did a party every single night from October on, every single night, in person. And she said in her shift that it had to be about her people, about helping her people and helping people move up. And she just saw enough people. She said, I got to do something. And she needed some money. And she said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it my all. And she just did a party every single night. She would meet people. And y'all know she does the Waverly parties, did on the back of the hand and all that kind of stuff, and had great, great results. And from that, went from no unit club to, or maybe she did 250 or 350 to million in 1 year. Yeah. So there you go. April Hutchison talked, and she talked about moving people up. And she ended her thing and says, there's a lot in our control and a lot out of our control. Submit what is out of my control to the one who is in control. And she said, he can guide us. He moves the heart of people. He calls them forth. Move people when there's an event on the horizon, like leadership conference. Have a goal of how many you want to do. She got from 2 directors to 13 in 1 year. Hello. Okay. Keita Powell, new national sales director. She was really good, and she had some really good visual aids up there. She talked about if you don't cha-cha, you won't get here. And she did a little thing where she said, yeah, I was, as senior director, and she did a little cha. She goes, then I was a future executive, then I was an executive, then I was back and I was doing the cha-cha to the future executive, then the senior, then I went back up to this. And she was just talking about how sometimes that's how your career goes. Don't have to, but sometimes it does. And then that you have to get people behind you that will hold you up and keep you standing. She had a girl go up there with her arms up in a victory pose. She said, you get tired of holding them up sometime. And she goes, so you have people on your side in your corner. And she talked about some people that just held her up, the victory pose, when she got tired and just kept her going. And so anyway, it was just really good. Her talk was really good. And she said, the victory pose, when you have your hands up like this, she said, it's yes, God is a form of surrender. It's yes, God. The top part of the V is for victory. And so she did a phenomenal job. Brittany Jinks talked. I've already talked a little bit about what she said. And one of the things that came to me when she was talking about her career chats and seeing people different and believing in people, and that she said, you have to see enough people. She said she did 30 faces a month for 8 months in a row. And she said there was a lot for God to bless. I gave God a lot of things to bless, a lot of people that he could bring up because I was willing to do the work. And so my thoughts on that were, what if God had a plan for you? And he said, I'm going to bless every career chat that you did last month with some amazing new team members. But you didn't do any. Okay? And that's what hit me. Like, what if the blessings are ready to come to you, but you just have not put in the work for God to have anything to bless? Like the seeds aren't planted. And so I thought that's really what I got from her talk. How can God bless something that's not even there? You're not even making the effort, right? So I thought that was pretty good. And she says, don't change your belief to accommodate your work. What is changing, what needs to change in your business. You be willing to do some different things to get some different results. And he says, this is not a surprise to God. Nothing surprises God. He still has you fully covered no matter what you're going through. He already knew and he knows. And in a virtual world, she did say she went to pockets of people constantly. She went from 650 to 1.2 million. And the next year, she went to 1.4 million into NSD. Thank you very much. Sit down. Okay. Ari Hathaway did a wonderful worship service. that was phenomenal. We did a worship service. Can y'all believe that? We didn't end that day until 11 o'clock, maybe 10:30. It was so good though. We would think we're done, then we just get up and do some more. Callie DeBlander got up the last morning and talked about Chat GPT. I think I've told y'all about Chat GPT. If I haven't, I thought I did. But look it up, download the app. It's a way that you can get scripts, you can plan events, and it's really good. Okay, so I don't have time to teach that whole thing right now, but it was really, really good. Lisa Madsen got up. She was amazing. She's a national sales director, and she had like a bunch of points. Okay. And which I'm running out of time. But one of the things that she talked about is, what do you say to yourself right now? You cannot hope to make progress in areas where you have taken no action, and you can't lead people that you need. Okay. She said, if everything I said would come true, what would I stop saying and what would I start saying? So think about that. If you're saying nobody will recruit, I've asked everybody and everybody says no, nobody will book a party. I keep asking, everybody turns me down. Nobody buys very much. Has inflation and nobody's spending money right now. If that's all you're saying, what if all that came true? Instead, why don't you say what you want? Everybody wants to book a party. People love together. Women have money to spend on themselves. More skincare is being sold right now than in any other area as far as, products. And so it's a, multi-billion-dollar company, right? And I'm going to get a piece of that. So start saying what you want instead of negative, 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 negative about yourself. Okay. And about your business. One of the things she did is she booked a party. She said, I hadn't had a personal party in 30 years. Okay, because she's been a national that long. And that she went to this girl's house, and her daughter said, is that a good neighborhood where you're going? And she's like, her granddaughter. She goes, I don't know. I didn't even looked it up. And she goes, kind of find out it wasn't a good neighborhood. So I made my husband go in there with me. And then she talked about this whole crazy party she did. And then when she goes, of course, they didn't buy anything. And she said, but I really had a heart for her. I'm like, this could change her life. She goes, I could almost cry thinking about it. If she was a new consultant, actually, that just signed up. And then she said, that when she left, there's a big dog at the front door. And she goes, well, is this dog me? She goes, I've never seen that dog. She goes, so it's like the dog between me and the husband in the car. And of course, nothing happened, but just her telling the story about getting out of her comfort zone and doing this, I thought it was pretty awesome. Okay. I know I'm doing an hour boss babe call like we used to. Get excited. Y'all can cut it off and go back and watch it later, right? Sonia Paez talked. She was great. I'm just going to skip over that. Jen Thetford invited me to the thing. If it wasn't been for her, I would not be there. And she was so great, y'all. She's in her last couple of days of being a national sales director. She finishes at the end of the year. She talked about like how she felt when, as a national, you give up your pink Escalade and you get whatever color you want. And that's yours to keep. And she said, but just seeing that pink Escalade drive away, everybody, all the things. And she said, she's thankful. She knows who she is in Christ. There's not going to be accolades in heaven about how many cars you've won, if you did inner circle or any of that mess. It's going to be, how many people did you lead to Jesus? And she said, don't have the pain or regret. Focus on your preferred future. Forgive yourself and move on. And she talked about ambition. She said the ambition its base is the same as frustration. It's just because you want to go somewhere. So if you're frustrated, it's probably because you have a lot of ambition, and that's okay. She said, so don't get all, frustrated means you at least got somewhere you want to go, right? People don't get frustrated if they don't have anywhere to go. They're like, I'm good, because they have no goals, right? She said, we make mistakes. We're wounded. Don't let it fester. Repent, move forward. She goes, I've made some mistakes. She goes, but you know what? I've learned, and I'm not the same person I was when I started. And so she said, we can get happy or we can get happy. She's really funny too, so she's really good. She said, you do have the time to do what you need to do. You just may not be choosing to take the time. That you do have the time. And many people are having a near life experience. Instead of a near death, right? A near life experience. And she taught a lot of different things. But she did say time spent in one place is time spent away from another. So be intentional by doing your weekly accomplishment sheet, the IPA sheets, the bubble sheets, all those things that Mary Kay has got in place for us. And you cannot change the beginning, but you can change your ending. You can change it starting right now. And she said, we are the movies we watch, the books we read, the people we spend time with, and the conversations we engage in. Choose wisely what you put in your mind. And I do believe that is so true. And that leadership is an action and an example. Don't waste time in what you could have done differently. Do it differently right now. And she said that in 5% succeed. Let me see, 5% succeed are willing to do more than what has been asked. Okay, in the end, the people that succeed, that they are willing to do more than what has been asked of them to do. Like the people that succeed in life. And that she kind of ended, are you going to be a hot dog or are you going to be a weenie? Which one are you going to be? And that you must learn a way to think before you can master a new way to be and be unoffendable. And she said, focus on growth instead of a goal. Because if you focus on growth, you'll get the goal. But if you focus just on the goal, you may not grow. And she said, you always want, and then you like the next year, you can't do it again because you just went for the goal. Okay. But focus on growing and then you'll get the goal as well. So anyway, that's a lot of talking. I know it. Thank you for watching. But I just like hit the high points of it. And for me, I just came home thinking, okay, I know what to do. I have what it takes to do what I want to do. All I've got to do is make myself or be not make myself, but in some ways, yes, make myself pick up the phone and make the calls and get the bookings to see the people to get the new team members. Okay. I've done it before. I can do it again. Y'all have done it before. Every one of y'all have had a party. Every one of y'all should probably share the opportunity. We just got to do more of it. But the thought that Mary Kay in the next 25 years, maybe will not be the same, might be just some regular old cosmetic company and not have the values and all. I mean, it motivates me to recruit people and to step up. So I hope it does you too. It's a great company to be in. And I'm very blessed that I've spent 38 years in it, 3 decades, almost 4. And so I want it to be the same for people that are coming in now. But y'all, we're in good hands. I was set by 2 20-year-olds, and I'm like, these girls are so amazing. And they're top directors. And I'm like, we are in some good hands. We just need more of them, So anyway, I'm going to cut the recording off now.